we've been chatting a little bit before we get started here, and I thought it would be fun to share how we know each other. And how long has it been now, Maddy?
Almost 3 years.
Wow. And you're part of the family, really.
Yes.
Yeah. You started dating my nephew. It's been so great having you around and part of the family. And I think that's also something that made me realize, oh my gosh, look at all these entrepreneurs around me. And I'm so excited to have you as part of the show because you're the youngest.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
you're the youngest entrepreneur that I've interviewed on the show so far. And I'm definitely interested to get your perspective on where you started, how that all works together. So, why don't we just kind of go through and maybe you can give a little bit about your background and who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I did not intend to start a business. It kind of came about. I was in college studying business and psychology. I knew I wanted to do something within the business realm, but just wasn't really sure what that was going to look like for me. And then in 2021, I was in an accident. And as a result of that, I transferred from one college to another to do a fully online degree program. So I kind of had a weird gap between transferring and I was living back at home at the time. And it just gave me an opportunity to kind of pause and look at my life and look at what I was doing and evaluate if the path that I was on was really what I wanted to pursue. And I feel like events was always kind of in the background for me. I grew up in a house that basically had an open door policy. We always had friends and family coming over. I was always kind of that friend in the friend group that was putting things together and getting people gathered around. And so it was something that was there, but not necessarily something I thought of as a career until one day I was kind of like, maybe that could be something for me. And I don't really know what propelled me to do this, but I was just sitting at home, I think probably going a little stir crazy. And I just searched event planners in my area. And I found a girl on Google that had her own day of coordination business. And I just reached out to her and I was like, I'm a college student. I'm really interested in what you do. Would you sit down and have coffee with me and kind of tell me your story so I can see if this is something I might be interested in? And I went, met with her. She is wonderful and gave me the opportunity to kind of shadow her wedding business for the remainder of her season. And the first wedding that I went to with her, I was just blown away. I was like, I love this. I feel like I'm right in my element. This is so much fun. And you hear these clients that she has being like, I'm so overwhelmed. I feel like this planning process is so stressful. And kind of hearing that and then looking at my point of view on it, I was like, I love doing this. This for me is so much fun. And if I can be the person that takes that weight off of your shoulders and can just run with it and love what I'm doing, this might be a really good fit. So that girl that I was working with was actually getting married herself in that spring. So when that season ended, I kind of was like, do I just go off and do this on my own? Do I look for a job doing this full time? I don't know. And I just took a leap of faith and dove into making my own LLC. And then that kind of started my business. So my LLC is called Champagne Honey Weddings and Special Events. And ever since then, since 2021, I have been coordinating weddings.
That takes a lot of guts to go out there and take the initiative to reach out to a complete stranger, right?
Yeah, I think that it is something that again, like, I don't know what caused me to be like, I should just text this person, but every person that owns their own business, I think is very passionate about what they do. I mean, enough to have their own business. So to me, it's like they're probably willing to share what they do because they love it. I know I love to talk about the things that I love to do. So I wasn't really afraid to get connected with her. And it was just a casual conversation. I mean, anyone that didn't want to would have just said no. So I knew walking into it, she was willing to be a resource for me.
That is awesome. I kind of have a little bit of a similar experience when I first got started, but I I mean, I was 20 years older than you. So I give you so many props to be able to go out and do that and take that initiative. And what you said about really loving what you do and taking that overwhelm away from people, I totally get that. Like, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know Maddie and I have had the opportunity for her to actually work on a job in my business, in my organizing business. And we'll probably dive into some of the reasons why, or you'll understand some of the reasons why here as we go through the interview. But it's so true, right? When you're passionate and love what you do, people might look at you like, what? Like, are you sure this is something you really enjoy doing? Because I can't stand it.
Right. Absolutely.
So you're in college and you're starting this business and you're getting it off the ground. That takes a lot of going back and forth between two different elements. So, what does your schedule look like? How do you kind of balance your time between all of these different responsibilities?
For me, being in an online program for school is a huge blessing because then I have control over what my schedule looks like. I can work through my classes. They're all asynchronous, so I can go at my own pace, which is nice. And then also on the side be doing my weddings. So I try to fill my weekdays with school and everything I have to do as a student, and then try to use evenings to work on stuff with weddings. If I have to meet with a client during the day, I can do that because I can just structure my schedule around whatever meetings I have to have. And for the most part, my events fall on the weekends. So that kind of works out naturally to be able to do weekdays and weekends in terms of the bulk of my work.
That's definitely been a huge benefit, being able to have the online schooling and being able to rely on that flexible schedule. And then I take it there's probably, we're talking about weddings here in the state of Michigan. There's probably seasons that are busier than others, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm kind of in my down time right now. It's kind of engagement season, which is a lot of fun in the winter, but it really picks up from May to October.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely understand how that would look. Now,
Yes, which also
yeah.
is the off season for school. So it kind of does work out that way with living in Michigan that the bulk of my busy season falls opposite of my school busy season.
Yeah.
That part kind of aligns.
You're still in school then.
Yes, yep, I will be done in May and I'm studying organizational management, so they're kind of gonna go together.
Yeah, and it's
And
interesting too. I think, how has this helped you kind of figure out your schooling? Has this influenced you in any way?
yeah, I feel like from the moment you go into college, you get people asking you, what do you want to do when you graduate? Where's your career going to go? And I am so grateful for the pause that I had and the opportunity to, when I transferred, look at what I was doing and take the time to think about, is the path that I'm on taking me where I actually want to go in life? I'm someone that has always valued being able to travel and having the flexibility of being able to make my own schedule. And when I realized those things, I saw more and more why it made sense for me to be doing what I'm doing now and pursuing my own business.
So that's also leads me to ask you about your support system. Can you talk to us a little bit about who makes up that support system and how they influence that as well?
Yes, my support system is wonderful. My friends and family have been so supportive of me pursuing this and also being so patient and understanding as I was trying to figure out how I was going to balance both those schedules. I know the people that surround me have my back. They've gone above and beyond to help me if I need help moving wedding decor or something like that. When I have other commitments, I have people that I know would be there in an instant. And I think it's been incredible too to see the community of vendors within the industry come around me as well, and getting to build those relationships, because truly the connections that I've made with photographers and venues and caterers and all the people that help the moving pieces of a wedding come together, and then being able to use those same peoples and put each other on mutual vendor lists because you work together well, has just propelled my business forward so much. From all aspects, I felt surrounded by just incredible supportive people.
That's so important, right? I feel like in order to be able to be successful and to continue to enjoy what you do, it is really important to have people who have your back when it comes to your business and your personal life, right?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about your organizational skills and, how you feel about being organized in business and in personal life. What's your space like at home? Are you a naturally organized person? I already know the answer, but share with everybody.
Yes, I am a very naturally organized person. I'm very type A. I like my space to be a certain way. Everything has a place. And I think that it helps my productivity to be in a clean environment and have things around me and have my space be organized, because then I just do whatever I need to do.
What about can we talk a minute because you and your family and if you're open to sharing about like the organizational process that you had to go through as you and your family moved back into your home, because that took a lot of organization on that end.
Yes. So to revisit, the accident that I mentioned earlier was a house fire. So my family had to go through a crazy process of trying to salvage the things that we could from our house, move to a rental house, and then rebuild and move back into our house once everything was resolved. It was about 2.5 year process for all of that to happen. And we just had boxes and boxes and boxes of so many things. And the company that helped clean things was wonderful, but then some things were there, some things were in storage, some were at a rental house. So our stuff was kind of boxed up and also scattered all over the place, which was very overwhelming at first. But then you start going through things and finding new places for things, and it comes together eventually. But at first, seeing everything all boxed up was crazy.
Yeah, I can't even imagine because that just 2.5 years, that is such a long time to be in limbo and be living out of boxes and not being able to be settled into your home. How do I want to say this? Do you feel more organized, or do you have better insight now after going through that process? Do you feel like you hold on to more, hold on to less? Is it about the same? Where are you with that?
I think that I hold on to less because I realize that there are fewer things that carry a lot of weight in terms of value, or that I really feel sentimental value from, that I missed when they were gone or wanted to get again right away. And realized that there was a lot of things that once they were gone, I didn't even know that they were gone and didn't miss them at all. And there was a lot of things that, in some ways, it was nice that they got cleared out. Being a business owner, as someone who is very type A, I used to get very stressed out in some ways by my own plans that I put in place for myself.
Mm.
I would follow a very rigid schedule, and I would find myself getting overwhelmed by the schedule I set for myself to be following.
Yeah.
And kind of going through that where I was almost forced to be a little bit more go with the flow. It was just a learning curve of figuring out how to have a structured plan, but to also become okay with things not going exactly according to that plan. And now I am more in a camp of setting my priorities for a day. And I do like to have a schedule and a plan on paper, but I pair that now with a mindset that I know things are going to come up and things are going to change. And if it doesn't follow this exact plan, as long as the priorities are matched, it's going to be fine.
Ooh, that's a big, good lesson to learn, especially this early on. I will tell you, it's still tough for me. This week, I was completely booked with clients, and it is now Wednesday night when we're recording this, and I have had all my clients cancel this week because everybody's
Wow.
sick. Everybody is ridiculously sick, which, I'd much rather have people tell me not to come when they're sick. I don't want to be sick either. But learning
Yeah.
to like adapt and fill in those gaps and learn that things are not always going to go as you intend them to or as you had them planned. It's really, you do have to kind of take things at face value sometimes.
You do, and I use that mindset with my clients as well. I mean, when we put together a wedding timeline, sometimes they're down to 2 minute by 2 minute structure for the day. And you have to know that people are going to spend 10 more minutes taking pictures, or something's going to come up with getting ready that's going to take a little bit longer. But it always comes back around and we always get back on track. There's give and take in there. And as long as the big important milestones of the day happen on time, it all comes together and there's no reason to overwhelm yourself with these deadlines that you put in place just for structure.
Yeah, your self-imposed deadlines. I totally get that.
Right?
So, okay, so we're talking about you as an event planner and you're coordinating day of activities for brides and for the wedding. So that's got to take an immense level of detail and organization with time and also probably with there's physical things involved too, right?
Yes, time and mostly decor,
Okay.
logistics of getting things in place, organizing and packing it. For a lot of my clients, some have me from start to finish through the end of the night, but I have other clients that will have me set up. So then I coordinate the end of the night for whoever's packing up. They have a detailed list of what goes where, how to make things pack up easy and run smoothly at the end of the night, and also to be efficient. So there's a lot of moving pieces to coordinate whether I'm the one that's doing it or not. And I take on all of those things for my clients.
And that's just incredible. I wish you would have been born when I got married. So, talk to me a little bit about what's the level of detail? How far ahead of working with someone do you plan out? A year out, 6 months out, 2 weeks out? What does that look like?
It depends. I offer different levels of coordination packages. So anywhere from full planning, where from the minute you get engaged all the way through the end of the night on your wedding day, I'm the person doing it. There's partial planning, where I'll step in like 6 months to a year out, depending on their timeline and when they get booked, and manage from there on out. And then for day of coordination, I usually come in about the month before. If I book earlier with my clients, I'm accessible to them and happy to help leading up to that. But in terms of vendor communication and stepping in as kind of that manager, that happens the month before the wedding. And then on the actual wedding day, I'm there usually from setup through tear down at the end of the night.
So that seems like there's probably some late nights.
There sure are, but I love it.
But it comes with the territory.
It
Yeah.
does.
So would you say, is there anything that you kind of like live and die by? Like for me, it's my Google Calendar. I live and die by my Google Calendar. I wouldn't know where to be if I didn't have that. Do you have any tools that you use or anything that helps you be more productive to streamline your business or your personal life?
Yeah, I am a hard copy person. I love to write in a notebook on paper. I usually have two different notebooks. So if someone's talking to me and I'm actively taking notes, that's all in one notebook. That's looks like a mess and is not nice handwriting, and everything's just getting put down on paper. And then I have a nice notebook where I go back and I take that stuff and I rewrite it, organize, put it all together. And that's my personal method of kind of brain dumping and then organizing my thoughts in a way that I like to keep it. But for my business, I have a Google business account. So I use the Google Workspace and Drive to keep all of my client files and email and stuff like that organized. And then I also have a client portal for my clients where I can log in on one end and they can log in on the other. And between the two of us, everything for their specific event is stored in that.
Yeah, that's really smart. I can only imagine there's probably a lot of communication. And as we were talking about and mentioned, there's a lot of details. So to have that all in one spot is, I mean, that's so key to making sure things don't get missed.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anything that you didn't expect coming into being a business owner that you're kind of surprised about?
That's a good question. I feel like more than anything else, I've been positively surprised. A lot of the negativity or worry coming into it were things that I worried about within myself. I was very positively encouraged by all of the business owners I know to kind of go for it and get started. I think that coming from being in a college program where you're asked all the time, what are you going to do with your career? Where are you going to go? All of these things post grad, and having that put on you as a freshman in college, I would answer that question. I'd be like, I'm going to do nonprofit fundraising. I had no idea what I wanted to do or where I was going to go. And I feel like the not that it's a myth or that it's a bad thing necessarily, but I feel like I put myself in a box being in
Mm,
school. And then when I had that opportunity to pause, I was like, there are so many things I could do, and I have so much space to be creative and come up with something that I want to do. I don't have to follow this like rigid life path that has been like laid out for me since high school
yeah.
kind of thing. I don't
Yeah.
that starting a business is very attainable. And if there's something that you love and that you're passionate about, you should go after it and you should go do it. And you don't necessarily have to do something that's already laid out ahead of you.
That's definitely a great point. I think back, it's been many years, but you're right. When you get into college, you're kind of shuffled through until you get to the end, and people just kind of expect you to know what it is that you want to do with the rest of your life. And that's really hard to determine when you're 20 years old, 22 years old, and make that decision. And I know so many people, myself included, went to school for something and totally don't do anything in that field or that realm anymore. And that's okay. That's totally okay.
Yeah. And it was one of those things too that once I realized the business was something I wanted to pursue, now my degree in my college is going to back this path and find what I actually want to do and support that. So I think that there are ways to do both, but it just isn't necessarily you have to graduate and then immediately start your first job. There's so much room to explore, reach out to different people, figure out what speaks to you and where you really want to be, and then let your education fill in the gaps.
That's great advice. So that's a really kind of good segue to lead into ask you, what's some advice that you would give if you have somebody, because you have a younger sister, and so you have other people that you know that are in this age group. And so if somebody was going to ask you, hey, Maddy, I want to start a business and I'm still in school, how do I go about doing that? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say to reach out to someone that's doing it, get their insight, hear about their day to day, and ask all the questions that you're wondering because there are so many people out there that are willing to be a resource and willing to open up their world to you. And I think it helps you evaluate if this is really something I can see myself doing on the day to day, because there's also a lot of people that are in the camp of, wow, it'd be so fun to own a business, but then they hear about what the organization looks like and the things that go on in the behind the scenes, and then they're like, actually, maybe that's not for me. And so I think just gathering as much information as you can, and then if it is something you want to pursue, I would say go for it. Put yourself out there. I almost felt like I had this sense of kind of imposter syndrome when I was about to post on social media and put myself out there and be like, I'm starting this business. I was like, am I really qualified to be doing this? But I knew within myself, I feel so in my element in this space. I know I have what it takes to do a good job for my clients, but then sharing it with the world was kind of daunting. And so I would just say not to hold back and not to be afraid to put yourself out there and take a risk, because when you get to do what you love and what you're passionate about, it's a beautiful thing.
You think that you had years and years of entrepreneurship behind you, but you've learned some really important lessons already. That's only going to serve you well moving ahead into the future. What about any kind of roadblocks as far as getting your business set up? You've talked about how you've had and I'm so happy for you that it's been such a positive experience. I know from what I understand, the wedding industry in and of itself can be a little bit cutthroat and a little bit hard to kind of get into. I guess it just depends on who you align yourself with and who you kind of make connections with in the industry. So have you come across any roadblocks, so to speak, as you've been building your business and putting things together?
Not on the back end of building my business necessarily. I think it was more a roadblock of trying to figure out what my balance was going to look like and how I was going to do school, business, social life, travel, all the other things that I wanted to be doing. And I think at first I had this mindset that any client that inquired, yes, absolutely, I'll do your wedding. And I had to learn how to fill my schedule, one, with clients that I actually connect with and are a good fit for me, and two, not to overbook myself. I feel like it's really important that for what I'm doing, I'm able to put my best foot forward and be high energy all day long till the late hours of the night. So I did one doubleheader weekend at the very beginning of starting my business, where I had like a rehearsal on Thursday and a wedding on Friday and a wedding on
Oh my
Saturday.
God.
And because I was so
Yeah.
excited. I was like, yes, I will do it all. I will literally be a superhero and take every single event that comes my way. And then I realized at that Saturday wedding, I was like, if I look at the type of person I am today compared to yesterday, that is not the type of person I want to be for this client. So I had to learn to balance out my schedule. And because you have control over all the events that you're taking, it's up to me to decide. It was kind of a roadblock in learning what I actually am equipped to take on, and also what allows me to be the best service provider to my clients as a business owner.
Oh my gosh. Balance. I tell you what, it comes up in almost every podcast episode. I think that that's just something that we constantly, it's always trying to figure out, how do you fit all these pieces together? It makes me think of those memes, how it is versus how it's going. So let me ask you,
Yeah.
you've already come to the conclusion that you don't want to be the person that does a double header wedding weekend. So that was how it is. So how's it going now?
So good. I feel like I have figured out over the course of this whole journey how to bring my best self to the table and how to be the type of person that I want to be for my clients. I think that's what it came down to. Like, I wanted to be the best version of myself so I could give that to the people that I'm working for, especially because so many people look at their wedding as the best day of their life and such an important milestone that I want to treat it that way too. And so I try really hard to be very intentional about my scheduling and also how I spend the day of someone's wedding, that I make sure that I have what I need in the morning. I have my quiet time and do the things I need to do in terms of self-care. So then when I turn on my phone and I'm go, go, go until 2 in the morning or whatever it is, that I had what I needed to have to fill my cup going into it.
Maddie, you are like years beyond. And I've always felt that way about you. You always have such insight and knowledge for someone who's so young. So what a testament to your support system, to your parents, to everyone that's lifted you up throughout your life.
Yes, for sure.
I love that you brought up self-care and that it's part of your routine and it's something that you do and you know how important it is to you as a business owner as well. So what are some of the things that you like to do to kind of fill that cup and to take care of yourself?
I think one of the things, it was my New Year's resolution a couple years ago, was to not snooze my alarm clock. And I've kind of held on to that habit. There's a podcast, Mel Robbins um, hosts it, and she talks a lot about this habit. And what she says regarding it is about how if you set your alarm for a certain time, you set it for a reason. And when it goes off, get up, because if you're not keeping that promise that you made to yourself the day before, like how are you setting yourself up to be responsible for all of these things in the day ahead? And I think that mindset is just helpful because it's like one small thing to start your day off right, one thing you're holding yourself accountable for, doing something productive from the minute that you open your eyes, I think is important for me. And then from there, I try not to open my phone until I've done something for myself in the morning, whether that's having quiet time. Sometimes I read my Bible, sometimes I go to the gym, all of it before even removing the do not disturb off my phone, because from the minute that I open that, there are so many things competing for attention. There are people that I have to respond to, and all of these things start coming in. And I know that I'm better equipped when I have that time in the morning to set myself up for success for the day. And also, if there's something hanging over me, or I know that I have a big project or something that needs to get done, that's the first thing I do for the day. So if I know that I have a big project that needs to get done in the whole day, I'm going to have it hanging over my head and it's going to overwhelm me. I'm going to get up, have my time, and then that's what I'm going to do first. Because I know that once that's done, I have all this time and energy to put towards other things. And I know if I leave it at the bottom of my to-do list and then I spend my whole day running around doing other stuff and I feel burnt out by the time it gets to that one really daunting task, I'm not going to be ready for it. So all of that to say, I try to structure my days and my routine around trying to set myself up to be as successful as possible.
Oof. In the morning, I want to be that person, Maddie. I want to be that person who doesn't like immediately kind of look and see what's going on the phone. I think that's a great thing to do for yourself, to not immediately go to that when you wake up, because you're right, it does compete for our attention and it just immediately takes you out of that ability to kind of have some time, have some quiet time, and to really be grounded. I'm really good about giving myself time in the morning, but I'm really bad about making my phone a part of that.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult and it's hard too. I was a night owl for the longest time. And one day I was like, I think I need to switch my sleep schedule around and give myself my wind down time almost in the
Mm.
morning. So then I can go about my day. Because when it was the other way around, I would get to nighttime and I'd be up doing all these things, but then I wouldn't get enough sleep, or then the next day would start and I would just feel like I was go, go, go all the time. And switching to kind of have that quiet time in the morning and being unplugged for a little bit, I feel so much more ready to just go about the day.
Yeah.
And even though it's difficult, I think the discipline of it has helped me so much.
That's going to be on my to-do list to work on. I think that's a great goal to have. And I love that you talked about Mel Robbins. I just got her book, Let Them, and I can't wait to start reading the book. Big fan.
Yes, that is a great book.
Have you
I
read it?
love her idea. I have, yes, and I've heard her on so many podcasts talking about the theory too, and she has some good stuff to
Yeah.
say about people and how they work, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you and I are definitely in the people business, so it's always good to be educated and to be aware. So love that.
Yes, in the wedding world, I have to let them for
Yeah,
sure.
right. Me too. Oh my gosh. So, all right, let's do a little bit of wrap up Q&A. One thing you wish you would have known starting out as a business owner.
I think I wish I would have known right away the importance of making connections with other people that are either for me like vendors or other business owners, people that were doing what I'm also doing and are kind of along this journey together. I right away didn't have that and I would be like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know how to handle this situation. And over time, I've put together such a wonderful group of people that are in this industry or just that are other small business owners that I can lean on. So when things come up for me, I know I have that village or community surrounding me. And I wish from the very start, someone was like, the first thing you should do is become best friends with everyone else that you're working with.
Ooh, that's some good advice. It definitely helps when you have people who know your business and know the industry that you can go to and lean on for advice, or even if you just need someone to have like a good rant about like, oh my God, you'll never believe what happened to me at this event.
Absolutely. Yeah, people just that can relate and are in the same boat, even if it's you're just feeling exhausted and you're like, what is happening? And then you can talk to someone and be like, yeah, me too. And you're like, okay, it's fine. We're in this together. We're going to figure it out.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's talk about one thing that you're working on right now.
Yeah, one thing I'm working on for my business right now is proposal planning. That is something that I'm launching this year, which is super exciting. I want to kind of grow my business and expand into other areas. And I feel super passionate about engagements because it kind of leads up to so much of what I get to do. I also love having the opportunity to work with couples from really start to finish and know more of their story and be with them for more of that journey. I also feel like typically the majority of my clients for day of coordination are people that tend to be more type A that just want someone to be there just in case type of thing. And I feel like in the engagement world, there is a lot more opportunity to work with people that are like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I want to make this wonderful for the person that I'm asking this question for. And so I really want to tap into that because I feel like it's a super creative space and would be a lot of fun. So I'm building that out and launching that this year, which is really exciting.
Nice. Ooh, I love that. I can't wait to hear more about that. So, one goal for your future.
One goal for my future would be to eventually have a team and expand my business. Right now, for the most part, it's just
Okay.
me, which is great. And I also have so many wonderful people that like I've trained my close friends and family type of thing that if I ever had the flu or something terrible happened that I have them to lean on. And there's so many other coordinators that I'm connected with that I know I would be fine if something were to happen. But down the road and for a big goal, I would like to have a team built out so I can do all of those type of things internally and also be able to take more clients.
Ooh, yeah, definitely a great goal to kind of work towards. Well, I do want to ask you one other question. Your
Yeah.
favorite space to organize.
My favorite space to
Yeah, do you have a
organize
favorite
or
room,
like,
favorite thing to organize? Because you're type A like me, so I know how organized you are. Do you have a favorite place in your home or anything that you really love to organize?
okay, well, I have two answers. One for business, my wedding emergency kit backpack. I absolutely love to organize. It is my favorite thing. I have this backpack that comes with me to every single event. It has all these little pouches and compartments for things that people might need, but don't think that they're gonna
Oh my God,
need
I'm so
on their wedding
fascinated by
day.
this.
Oh, yes, it has
I've never
everything.
seen this. I
It's
now I have to see it.
yeah, oh, I'll show you. It's great. But yeah, so it has like, tools that you might need for decorating or medicine or white chalk or like little things if you spill on your dress or like boutonniere pins if they fall off. At anything. The most random things that you could possibly think of live in this backpack. But when I'm going to use it, it's always in some kind of not emergency always, but quick situation where you just need to grab something out. So I keep it very organized. And even though there's a million random things in there, I know where everything is. So when someone's like, wow, I really wish I had this or that, I can be like, I got
Oh
it.
my God.
Pull it out super quickly. So that gets refreshed after every wedding. And then I also keep like inventory spreadsheet. It's very organized in that way as well. And so then when I'm at events or something comes up, and if I don't have it, I can make a little note and put it in there for next time. So that's my favorite business thing to
Mm.
organize. My favorite at home thing to organize is my t-shirt drawers. I fold everything a certain way and stack them so they're all in a row and then color code so it looks beautiful when you pull out the
Oh,
drawer. And I think that might be my favorite.
you're speaking my love language. I love a good t-shirt drawer. But I am
Yeah,
like so obsessed
nothing
with this.
like a t-shirt drawer.
I'm so obsessed with this wedding emergency bag. You know what it makes me think of? I don't know if you've ever seen the show Veep. Have you ever seen that show? Oh my gosh.
No, what
It's
is
it's a
it?
hysterical parody. It's on HBO. It stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she's the vice president who becomes the president. She has a bag man, and he has everything in this bag, and he carries it everywhere with him. You'll have to look it up on YouTube and get some some clips.
I should, because that is me on all occasions, and I wear it all day. And I get so many bridesmaids that like laugh about it and stuff because they'll be walking around and multiple times throughout the day. I'll be like, I have that, whip out my backpack, and you know, but
Oh my God.
you gotta have what you don't think you're gonna need.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to be prepared. It's the big day. And so you've been through this a lot of times. So you know what to expect and what
Yeah.
people don't think that they're going to need, but they do. So,
Yep, for
all
sure.
right. Well, tell the listeners where they can find you, where they can connect with you, and where you're based out of.
Yeah, so I'm based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. People can find me online. My website is champagnehoney.com. My Instagram is champagnehoneyevents, and that's also my Facebook. So you can find me online. I'm based in Grand Rapids, but I travel all over the place. So wherever an event is, I will be there.
Yeah, not afraid to take a destination wedding.
No, definitely not. If anyone's going to Florida anytime soon.
We need a t-shirt, Maddie. Not afraid to travel. We'll travel.